Yeah, so this is where I'm at. So yeah, I touched up some little pieces on like the corners and stuff. So I just rubbed through there the other day and bits and pieces when I was doing that. So I thought I'd put a little bit of blue paint on while I was fixing down here with the brake pedal. Keep catching it, but we've managed to twist and finagle that to get it to clear by about that much. But yeah, like got all the diff in and all the drive shaft and everything on. I can't put the cable on because I haven't got a handle, because that's away with all that bright work. So got the wheels and got the brakes working, all that sort of bullshit. Yeah, and I was going to finish making these side curtain pieces, and yeah, steel's wrong. So, but everything else that I want to do or could do all relates back to the shit that I don't have. So I'm left with these little lights, yeah, and the tail light, which I can start mucking around to put together. The only other things I really got to do is I got to make a little freaking like space for here, proper space for in here. Put in some brass or something for that, and I want to make some little spaces, but I've been meaning to make for ages to go in these, like some little nylon or some sort of, you know, hard plastic spaces, so just so it's not metal on metal at some point. But yeah, so I'm pretty much taillights it. Taillights and those other pieces, and see if I can make something work. Righty, so I've got this light to get to here. I've actually buffed, well, kind of buffed outside. If I'm going to give it more of a polish up, gave it a light wet sand and a bit of a buff up. I've got that aluminium little surround in there with the red, so that ruby red lens in there. But I was gonna put the light bases back in there, but the wiring's buggered. Like I thought, oh, you know, we can just join it underneath in the body, but it's hammered. It's chewed through. Yeah, it's not ideal. So that's part of the reason, you know, I haven't really ticked it, because I thought, you know, the wiring would have been here. You know, I could have made up all these new little, put all these new little ends on and looms on and whatever else, and, you know, got it sorted. But it's very difficult to do when you don't fucking have the shit here. So I'm going to carry on and at least put this one in and give this a bit of a polish and clean up, because I did touch these up at one point, so I need to give them just a light sand and a buff, because you can see it's a bit dull there because it's paint, it's a bit uneven. But yeah, all I can really do is clean this up a bit more and see if I can get one of these little clips to work, because this is actually one of the things I was meant to come back to, because I don't think these were big enough and I can't weld it. I might just make up a little sheet metal ring for all it is to make it hold in there, because it little lens, and then that pokes that sits in there, and then there's like this little clip that sits in there, and then it pushes into the body on those little tits. I've talked about this ages ago, and that holds that lens in, stops it from falling in like this. And then there's that block clip goes in there. I pulled it a couple apart. I think there's other parts from another one somewhere else. But yeah, so I needed that little piece. We tried to make one, but it's a bit small. It's just not quite big enough in diameter. It pops past the thing, if you know what I mean. So I think I might just need a little bit of sheet metal and just try and make one. Cut it down, so I might do that now. It would have been nice if it was a little bit lighter, but I don't know. Gee, I don't know if that aluminium might be a bit thick. Just something. Need to make it out of something light, something light gauged. But yeah. So yeah, I'll carry on doing that for a wee bit longer. Sort of same scenario with there. Like I've got that light and everything together, but I want to make up some gaskets and whatever, and I've need to get some nuts for the back. Oh, hold on, phone call. Right, morning guys, how you going? I've been here for a wee while this morning, mucking around with stuff. But anyway, yeah, I just been playing with this light stuff so I can just get a little bit further. So I've got that one together to here. I need to fix wiring before I put the rest of it together. So I need some cabling, which I don't have. So I'm just trying to do bits and pieces what I can until I obviously get more stuff. So this piece here has always been a bit of an issue. This clip here, I tried to make one ages ago out of like a little spring washer and one of those, but it's a touch too small in diameter to do what I want to do. This is the original thing, and as you can see, it's got like 2 little tags out the side, which I think I said yesterday fit in these little slots. So like the little lens, that little ruby lens sits in here, then that washer, and then it fits into the body, and then there's a lock ring that goes on it into these slots here, which I've actually increased because this has all been broken and rotted off. So I've increased it so it goes around further just to try and get it, because like, you imagine trying to get one of those from somewhere. So anyway, I couldn't find anything thin enough, so I've actually found a little bit of piece of brass plate. It's actually off an old pot thing here. You know, it's like use what you can find sometimes, you know. This has all been split and broken somewhere along the line. Wasn't me, but it's not terribly thick. It's thick enough, but it's not terribly thick. I was like, whoa, the panel steel's too thick. I think the aluminium here I've got's a bit thick. But this, it's not too thick, but it's not too thin either. So I've been sitting here trying to make a little freaking, like a little brass spring washer out of here, because it's actually quite solid, if you know what I mean. So I think I've got that work fitting now. So basically that's what I was just trying to do this morning, is just get some of these little shitty things out of the road, because I got a car show I want to go for the video a little bit later on this morning. It starts we got later this morning and then runs until about 2 o'clock, probably 2 or 3 o'clock. So I don't want to be too late getting there. So I'm going to bug off here in about another hour and shoot to that. I'll quickly shoot around to Dad, see if he's any luck with this fucking Ford. But anyway, I'll put this in. Righty, so spending a little time wet sanding and polishing that as well. Just kind of doing it off camera because I'm just farting around and stuff. So I've got that little brass washer made to fit in there. I guess it doesn't really matter how big that freaking hole is in there, as long as it's reasonable, let some light through, I guess. But the little tabs on the edge now are a little bit long. I'll show you that. So they're just a little bit long. So I need to just knock them off. I think what I'll do is I'll just gently come in there with one of those little discs and I'll just touch them to see if I can just knock them down a little bit. So they will slip in here and push up against the little, you can see there's like little tags in there that those push up against. That's what the slot's in there for, and they push up against there and then hold that all in. So we'll just do that here now. So that's about the same level now too. I'll hook that so the compressor doesn't come on. And then this slips in here. Hopefully that's past, yes it does. And then you can see in here the little slots are. So that's when one of these comes into play. So basically slip that over there like that. Push it into those grooves and then turn it around until it locks in. I just have to make sure that I've got enough, that I've filed enough slot in that one to equal that one where I've taken some more into it, because that piece was basically broke off and worn out. They're both the same. I've had to do the same thing to both of them. Bit of a prick of a thing, but just don't know enough. You might just have to file this around a little bit further. So I'll take this back out and we'll just do a little bit more filing. Try and get it even, if you know what I mean. So just be using this little file with the little edge in it and just taking it around a little bit further. And basically, in theory, hopefully these are close to 180 degrees apart, if you know what I mean, through there. So this here can line up and then go around and lock in the best it can, if you know what I mean. You just come around a little bit further, just so I can get this into here a little bit further. And hopefully the pressure and the tension in there will just help hold it, I guess. There's not much else I can do. And hopefully it doesn't fall apart when it's in the car. It's close to being okay now. So hopefully there's enough tension on all this that it holds it. I do have another one because I pulled 3 apart. I might use this one. It looks it might be in slightly better condition. I don't know. We'll find out. Just see which one holds a bit tighter, if you know what I mean. Like this one, if you can see in there right. But it's the same situation. It's just old, worn out, you know, freaking basically 100 years old. Worn out, eaten away, broken. Trying to do the best you can with what you've got, if you know what I mean. Because like the lock I've got to find in these bits new, unless you're probably in the States at a swap meet, you know, with find something that's got a whole heap of frickin' old stock Studebaker stuff, which will be around, but it's just to find those people just aren't over here, you know what I mean. And it's to find somebody with that stuff half the frickin' time. Anyway, I'm going to sit down and try and get that in there, because it's a prick. I'm sitting down, it's, I don't know, just more stable. I guess. There we go. It's got reasonable tension on it. Hopefully it doesn't rattle loose. Again, sort of see in there, it's in there, locked in, can't come out now, so hopefully that doesn't come loose. So basically the next thing to do is to put the light fitting in there, but really need to address the wiring before we put that all in there and run the cable out the back and then fit all the rest of it in there. I put a bulb in there and glass and whatever. So yeah, it's kind of at a standstill. At least it's that much together, you know what I mean? And it's had a reasonable polish up. I'm going to have to touch up a little bit of edges. I'll rub through with the paper. Wee little brush, and then just give another wee light buff or something later on. Maybe even when it's on the car, just gently rub the buff over the edge of it or something. A little bit of paint I've dribbled on there. It's on the inside, so it's not going to be quite so noticeable. If it is, it'll just got a little bit of brush paint on there. And give it a wee bit of a hand polish at some point. It's on the inside, so it's not quite so sticky outy, if you know what I mean. I might give them another polish up anyway. I'd like to try and, actually what I should do is actually get a little, one of those little ball polishers or something like that, or that you see people use. might get a few different little, put a little bit of that compound on it when it's on the car and just rub it around it to try and bring it up a bit better. Not too bad. It's still a little bit flat for me, wet sanding with 3000 and stuff. Just high speed just brings stuff up a bit easier. But anyway, that's kind of that stuff done. Just trying to focus. Basically, the next thing I'll play with is this. I might start that Monday, since I want to go film this car show. I'll start putting this together Monday and go from there. Hopefully some steel turns up Monday. I'm hoping. Anyway, I'll catch you later on. Thanks for watching. Not sure if this will be the end of a video or not. We'll find out. I'm in the midst of doing one. Well, started doing one. About 3 days of footage, so I might just tag some of this into the end of it. But anyway, thanks for watching. Please like, share and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Cheers. Righty, so welcome back to NZ Hombre Kustoms. So, I'm here in Dad's workshop on the lathe. So I've got some black nylon plastic stuff. And I've got a length of brass. So we're going to try and make some little spaces. I'll make a few of these. Just little black spaces for that thing and see how they work. And then I'll make some more after lunch probably. And we'll start turning up a little spacer for those rear pieces, and then I'll polish it all up. And then if it looks funny, we'll paint it. You know what I mean? But we'll get to doing a little bit of turning on this. Now I need, I think it's 5/8. Yeah, I think it's 5/8. Hole up the guts of it, and then just we'll machine it down to its, I don't know, whatever. It's whatever it is. Where are we at? So I think, yeah, so it's, what is it? It's 20mm nylon, or it's just slightly over 3/4, if you know what I mean. So we need a 5/8 hole, and probably, I don't know, like say maybe 15 or 16mm diameter on the outside, so 5/8 on the outside ish, and yeah, 5/16 on the inside. What's that? About 7mm, I think it is. 7 or 8mm. That's what it is. Pretty sure it's what those bolts are through that convertible top. Yeah, it's basically 8mm, slightly under. So I'll drill a hole in there for a start off, and then I wish I had a proper or halfway decent parting tool, but we'll work with maybe a hacksaw or something like that, and we'll just draw down there, and we'll just cut some little slithers off, I guess. Once I've sort of turned it down to whatever, I don't need like a whole 20mm, it's way too big. I could, but I think if we're down to, yeah, I don't know, 15, 16mm, 5/8, I think it'll be fine, if you know what I mean, for what we need. So we'll do a little bit of turning here and drilling and make some bits, and then we'll do the same with the brass. So I've got plenty of that black nylon here. I've got, what about, I don't know, 2.5, 3 feet of it. So I'll just, once I've finished with it, I'll just drop the rest back to the engineers, just so you know they've got it there. But you'll be honest, I'd almost like to keep it, but you know, give it back to them, and at some point, well, if I find some, I'll buy some, if you know what I mean. At one of the other suppliers, like there's some of the bigger suppliers in town, have a bit more of that stuff. There's little local engineers, they have a pile of that sort of stuff underneath the bench, so different sizes. So I don't want to take away from what they use regularly, but they're quite happy for me to take it away and bring back what I don't use, if you know what I mean. So we'll get to it. Weird stuff, yeah. Obviously not the way that the lathe works is definitely not the right sort of cutting. But we'll just have to play with it a bit. Yeah. It's time. See what the time is. Righty, while I'm also here, I'll give you a bit of an update on this frickin' stupid thing. So we've been mucking around with this bit over the weekend, off and on. We've come to the conclusion that it's trapped air in this thing, or it's sucking air from somewhere back into the power steering system. So here's the pump there. There's a high pressure line, so we replaced that, replaced the rack, replaced the reservoir. So there's the only other hose that's really, it's never been touched is this one here, and the return back to here. That's just a piece of rubber hose. It's just a feed. The other one's just the return. But if we turn this from lock to lock without the engine running, hopefully you can hear it. So I can unlock the you can hear air gurgling through the system. It's a bit hard with the birds and bits and pieces in the background. You might not be able to hear it, but as you get the current from lock to lock, especially if you stand right here, you can hear the air gurgling across the system. And there's, like, if you keep looking at here, you can see the bubbles coming up through it. So the plan is we're going to buy a vacuum bleeder and put on the cap and pump it up, or draw up a vacuum to something about, I think it's 20-25 inch pounds or whatever it is of vacuum draw, like would be on a manifold, you know, for brakes and all that sort of stuff. So we'll draw a vacuum on that, and that apparently, if we just keep turning it lock to lock and keep that pressure up, it should draw the air through, but it also will tell us if we've got a vacuum leak, say in the pump, and maybe it's sucking air through the seal, or maybe one of the other hoses that we haven't replaced is sucking air in somewhere through a fitting or something, and causing us an issue. Like Arco said, oh, maybe you should junk the car and get something else. Well, fuck, I can't afford to. It's the biggest pain in the ass. I'm just not making enough money at the moment to be able to turn around and buy another car. It doesn't, like it didn't cost a lot to buy it. But if I went to turn around to try and buy another one with similar miles or less, or something better, you know, I'm 5 or 10 grand for a half decent car around here, whereas this was $1,000 because it was Dad's and it never costed me anything, if you know what I mean. It was basically it was gifted to him when we retired, so I didn't really owe him anything. And he was kind of doing us a favour when we come back, because, you know, we didn't know whether we were coming or staying or whatever. And it gave us a decent, well, it was meant to be a decent vehicle, you know, with about 300,000 Ks on it. And it does really, really good fuel mileage. So, but yeah, it's just silly things like this. It's amazing how it can trip you up. So hopefully, I'm going to order one of those this afternoon. I'm just going to put some funds in the bank, because most of my money is in cash at the moment. And then we'll order a handheld vacuum pump. I was going to buy one from one of the local parts stores, but they're anywhere from, say, $150 to $300. But I can buy the exactly same thing offline. Hopefully they're from New Zealand, but for about about 50 or 60 bucks. Yeah, identical kits, basically. Like looking at the one in the parts store and what was in it, and then looking at the ones online, they seem to be identical. You know, we've got another cap and whatever else, so we can muck around, make a vacuum cap up, draw a vacuum, and see if we can get it to bleed through. I'll show you the rack that come out of it. See, it's got all these little frickin' hard lines on it. There's 4, I think. Is it 4? No, it's just 3. 3 hard lines. So somewhere in amongst that system, because there's no bleed ports on it anywhere, there's air trapped in there somewhere, and it's just not getting out of the system. With your regular, just turn it from lock to lock, with the engine running, the front end up, and it just won't bleed. And I think that's probably been our problem all along. You know, maybe the first time we got it close and fluked it, before maybe that pump or rack went bad or somewhere along the line, but maybe we have got a leak somewhere. It's not to say that this isn't sucking air now through the front seal, or maybe one of the original hoses that's still left, like here, or the other return line, maybe for some reason that's sucking air. Normally it would it would piss air, liquid out, but sometimes you'll get a funny thing where it might just have a little tiny pinhole, and because it's not under pressure, it's sucking air in. It does happen. Weird shit like that does happen. So yeah, because we were talking to a guy at one point, and he said sometimes if the pumps are bad, they won't actually leak fluid, they'll suck air in, and it just keeps putting the air into the system, and then you'll never get it out, you know what I mean? And then the power steering will never work properly. So hopefully we're onto something. Like I'm not going to buy anything else for it till we get this vacuum bleeder tester thing, and then it's got a gauge with it, so we can pump it up, we can see if it's losing suction and all those sorts of things, and see if we've got another issue somewhere else or whatever. And if it doesn't drop vacuum, or at least then we can just turn it lock to lock, not running a few times, and then top up the fluid, crank it up, lock to lock a few times, not under vacuum, and then pump up the vacuum again, turn it off, lock to lock. Apparently that's sort of how you got to do it. We're doing a wee bit of research, but anyway, I'll carry on with this stuff. I'll just sort of show you a bit of that, just to get a walk around a wee bit instead of freaking standing in front of us. I'm not used to standing completely still all the time. So we got a few of these made. I'll cut a few more off. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So you will get another half a dozen off there, and then I'll make some more, and then it'll probably be lunchtime by then, and go have some lunch, and I'll come back probably make a few more if I need them, and then we'll turn this and make some little things, spaces for that rear piece. I think I'm just going to put maybe just a little round on it, and then just taper it down and do another little round on the other end or something like that, and just trim it off clean, and then we'll just polish it up, sand it up, polish it up for each side. Righty, so I've cut a heap of these. I'm going to cut some more, but I think what I'll do is when I go back, and I'll come back here later and finish making the first brass piece, the little spacer go on that hood, and the main pivot, make the little spacer for that. So I'm just about to do a center, and then we'll drill a half-inch hole, 13mm hole through there. I've cut, I can't remember, I don't know, there's almost 30 I think here, and there's some, I try to make some thinner ones. I know I need more than that, but I think what I'll do is I'll go back, once I've got that first one made, check, make sure that's right, and I'm happy with it. We'll rough it out, and then check them happy with it. Go back and clean a few of these up. Start fitting a few, and then work out what I need, because I now might need some bigger ones, some slightly fatter ones. Most of them are about either about that thickness or sort of that thickness. I know I need a few different thicknesses, like probably 2 or 3, if you know what I mean. So I need some sort of quite thin ones, sort of around that thickness, I don't know, what's that? About be less than 1/8, maybe a bit over a 1/16 sort of thick, or maybe slightly than that. And then I need a few about a 1/4 inch, because there's a wee bit of a gap between some of those bits and pieces where the bolt, or the pivot pin bolt goes through. So that'll keep them apart. But I just want to make sure that I don't make a whole heap of overly small ones, because I know I do need a few that are a bit thicker. So I just want to go through, fit a few up, have a bit of a count up, and then I can come back and make half a dozen longer ones that might be, I don't know, heading towards 1/2 inch sort of long, because I've got plenty of material here. And then I know I'm not sitting there making a whole heap of excess stuff. If I've got a few excess, it's not going to matter, because I'll use them at some point for something. You always need like a little nylon washer or something like that. It's mainly to stop the thing rattling together, and then those pieces also not at the hinge points not rubbing together, and they keep a constant distance apart, because I'll Loctite all those acorn nuts on. So I'll get them so they're just slightly longer, or about as long as these, but not pulled hard up against the metal pieces, and then we'll Loctite them all on. So they can be undone, but just put some medium strength Loctite on so they won't come undone. And obviously they'll be wound, the acorn nut will be wound hard up against even the bolt. But yeah, this will just give them a little bit of space, so they're not rattling around and all that sort of stuff, and they keep an even space and all that sort of stuff, you know what I mean. So yeah, we'll do this. I'll find a 1/2 inch drill, which should be that one, I think. Yeah. Something like that. Bit hard to read, but pretty sure it's 1/2 inch. I'll check it with the verniers in a second, wherever they are. There. And we'll go from there, but we'll put a pilot hole steady centre in there. What I want to do, it's not quite 2 inches there now, so it should be good. What diameter is that? 27. So this must be about 1 inch. I don't know. It probably is 1/2 inch, or probably 1 inch, but it's just not dressed, if you know what I mean. So that's pretty much perfect. So yeah, we'll just make some little ornamental, hopefully just chamfer that off, come in here, make a little, I guess, try and make a little like rolled edge on here, and we'll cut it a little bit, and then we'll go down, and then we'll reduce the size by maybe from 25 mil to about, or 1 inch to about 3/4 or thereabouts. We're just not going to take a lot off it, just taper it down, and then we'll do the same little in there, and then just chop it off, and we'll just clean it up and polish it up later on. Yeah, so we'll see you after lunch, and we'll get that made and and then we'll go test fit that and play with those for a little bit, and then we'll come back here later on and make another one once know I'm happy with the result of that, and obviously that, because I think there's probably enough there to make 3 if I need to. Well, I was wrong, you could. So yeah, just a little bit more of a close-up. So yeah, I'll probably just run that on the belt sander a little bit, just to try and take some of the thickness off, but I just don't want the brass direct on the paint. I may end up not using this, make just like a little rubber gasket or something like that, a little rubber O-ring out of that rubber stuff I've got, gasket type tough, put a piece between that and the bodywork and just cut it neatly, but we'll see how that works. It'll be just a little bit neater, I guess. Clean it up, file it up, whatever, and get it nice and thin, but just, I definitely don't want it that thick, but it was awkward to cut, if you know what I mean. Anyway, we'll go test what we've made, work out how many more we need, test this on there, or see if I can get that on there, and test that, and then decide whether that's exactly what I want, or whether I need to shave it down a little bit more, or whatever, if you know what I mean. And we'll come back and do some more. Righty, so I'm back here. I've been back here for a wee while. So I started putting these little bushes in the places where it's convenient at the moment and I can get into. I have to collapse it down to get some of them. Just too much tension on some of the bolts. I don't really need to make any more, but I might make just a couple of extra wide ones. I think maybe just 4. I don't think everything else should be okay. I should have plenty out here, but I might just make a couple that are maybe about double that width. Just about 4, I think, which should hold me up for what I've got made. And this is this piece on here. I think that looks quite good. So yeah, I'm just going to make one for the other side. And I might just shave a little bit off the back and a little bit off the front of it. Just make it very slightly shorter. But apart from that, we're pretty good here. So yeah, I'm just going to go back and just machine that other one up and make an extra couple of those little black ones, but just wide ones. And I think I should be good. Right, so I got those two pieces turned up. I got obviously a little bit of clean up work and whatever, and polish them and whatever. So they're both done. I haven't cut any more off that other piece yet. And at some point I'll go through and just, I did find a couple of screws, like things that will fit if I just hunt through and just see if I can find something that'll do the job. I'd like some countersunk screws, but something a bit like that sort of thing. I just have to have a decent hunt through this, and I'll find a couple of the same and polish them up or whatever. Hopefully I can find something stainless or something like that. But anyway, we'll catch you later on, and we'll see you tomorrow. Right, morning guys. I'll just get back up here. I've just got my little tripod here. Still at Dad's workshop. So I just got a couple of little pieces I want to do this morning before I shoot back around to the other one and try and piece some more stuff together. So I want to cut a couple longer spaces out of this nylon. I don't know if you can see that in there or not. Oh, it's right over here. That'll be easier. So yeah, I've got a couple more pieces I want to cut off this nylon. Just some wee bit thicker stuff. About 3/8 or thereabouts thick. Hopefully I can get a 3 or 4 out of here. I don't want to have to cut too many more. Or cut too much more of the shit because it's a pain in the ass to cut. And then I'll probably drop the rest of it back. But I might just keep an extra 10 or 12 inches of this, because it'll come in handy for other stuff before I drop the rest of it back around to the engineers. I probably would give this piece of brass back, but I don't think it's much point. I'd rather, for just a little bit that's there, I'll hold on to it and we can use it another day for something else. Come in handy, you know. It's nice to have a few scraps of that sort of stuff around. There is some smaller stuff here, but okay, it's just Dad's got a few little chunks like that for making little bronze bushes and stuff like that. There's a bit of tube, but another piece won't go astray, if you know what I mean. It's always handy to collect that little bit, those bits and pieces of stuff. Oh, I'll just move the camera up so you can see my head. So yeah, we'll quickly cut a few of these pieces, and then I just want to go have a look through some screws and bits and pieces and see if I can find something to for that light fitting. Hopefully I can find something amongst Dad's stuff. And there's Arco for those that watch Ralfy from Ralfy's Kustoms. had a scavenge through Dad's Arco, one of Dad's Arcos, to find some little machine screw type screws. So you'll cut and crank the whole frickin' lathe up, and cut a few more bits off. Righty. Yeah. It's a long way down there. It's freaking hard on the knees, I know that. I'm not quite sure why Dad's got the bench so low, but I think it was from working on motors. On oddball stuff that won't fit on an engine stand, to be honest. Oh, consulting the Arco worked. We found something. Hopefully, going out and doing the job. We'll just put some gear back. And we'll get it out of here and we'll go back to the other workshop. Cams for a Triumph. Righty. So, I tried to give this one a bit of a polish up, just without doing anything to it. Just where we sort of finished off at Dad's workshop, but it's not clean enough. So, I was just trying to think how I could sort of sand it up and get it nicer. So, in the drill press it goes. Vertical lathe. So we'll take this in here. It's making me spinning horrendously fast, I suppose. I can always speed it up if I have to. I don't think it's set up very quick. We'll just get it on a bit of all three with a couple of nuts jammed on it. Bit of 400. We might go a bit finer than that. We'll just swap this power cord over it. It up pretty nicely now, right? Look at that, a buff. So it looks like. So yeah, that's not too bad at all. All polished up. A little bit more brass around the car just to blend in some of the stuff that we haven't had nickeled, I suppose. That sort of makes it blend in a little bit better. Still nice and polished up and shiny. Obviously the nut needs a bit of a buffer, but yeah. That doesn't look too bad at all. Anyway. We'll carry on. We'll fit a few more of these little black spaces and bits and pieces and swap a wee bit of stuff around and see if we can get them all on. And then I will go and try and pick up that steel. So hopefully it's turned up. I haven't been back there since yesterday morning, so I think it was meant to be in yesterday, but I got busy doing that other stuff, so just giving it a bit of time to turn up anyway, so we'll carry on. Alright, I don't really have much to show you. I've been mucking around with this shit off and on for ages, to be honest. So obviously I polished that stuff up earlier. I've just been mucking around with this stuff, getting all the stuff fitting again properly. I've actually gone through some of these and opened the holes up with a drill, just taking them out a couple of sizes, like 1/2 mil or thereabouts, a bit bigger. Just so the bolts slip through a little bit easier. Just obviously when there's pressure on them, they're just not quite so difficult to get through. And I've put spacers in behind most of the stuff, just going through getting it right. I'd never shorten these bolts. I might have to shorten this one a little bit more. You know, just being cautious because it's a bit awkward to measure. I want to shorten that one up just a little bit more, just so it's not quite so loose. Obviously when it's got tension on it. And then here, it won't be quite so rattly. I've had to file these a little bit. I'll have to put a little bit of paint in there, but it won't really matter because it'll probably wear it up anyway. But I will. So yeah, that's just kind of what I've been doing. I haven't even done the other side yet. I haven't even got back over to the side to put any spacers in. I think I put little white spacers in there, did I? Way back here, so I'll just leave those ones, they're fine. Not too panicked about those ones. I think I did the same here, did I? Just trying to see. Yeah. So yeah, I'm just going to go through and do all the rest. And obviously do the other little alterations that I want to do and shorten these bolts up so they're a decent length and yeah, not freaking 15 feet long. That's cool. We were trying to get some brass screws for in here from overseas, but we just can't get them. Not easily. Arco even looked, but he couldn't get the ones with the little domed head, the right thread. They were all flat, which would be okay, but I think at the end of the day we're just going to find whatever we can find that's close and metric and slightly bigger, and we're just going to retap the holes. Just to be done with it, because we just, we don't want to be screwing around for another couple of months trying to find some of those little pieces. If we can find a metric one that's one size bigger in the thread, we can just, open the hole out slightly, run another tap through it, because they're the same thread as what's in here, so we might redo the threads in here, put some better bolts in these, because these are all a little short. Be nice to put some slightly longer ones in there, get some of that stuff a bit better. On these ones, so we want to replace all of them. I think we'll try and find some stainless ones or something like that. All brass if they're in metric, whatever, doesn't really matter. If they're brass, the brass. Just brass or stainless or something, in a flathead screw type thing. So yeah, so I've just been mucking around with that. So it's amazing how many freaking minutes you can waste just pulling stuff off, pulling stuff on, pulling stuff off, pulling stuff on, just getting stuff fine-tuned so it's nice and right, and drilling out the holes and whatever. So I'm about to go have some lunch and carry on, and we'll see you after lunch for a brief update probably. Righty, so I've got all the spaces in between these now, I think. Apart from, got one there? Oh yeah, I got one from there. So the only thing I've got to do is do these. I've done the top bolt there. I haven't got to cut these ones. I haven't got to cut the bottom one. And I haven't got this in here yet because for some reason when it's up, I can't seem to get this one off. It seems to be, it must sit tight in the hole. So at some point when we let it down, I'll pull this off and we'll slip that in. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at there. So I might chop this off, get these done. I was going to film this, but I just haven't been in the mood. I've just actually been just listening to crap on, just playing on my phone. A few videos, whatever. Just playing in the background and having a quick look every now and again. See what's going on. I was actually just watching an oldest video from Halfass Kustoms, chopping. It was like a time lapse with the odd stop in between of them chopping a 36 Ford 3 inches coupe. Freaking God, that guy's talented. Tell you what, instead of watching bad chat or anybody like that, go watch Halfass Kustoms. Fucking guy is an absolute magician. Anyway, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish these couple of bolts and then I'm actually going to go, because he was going to try and find a gear lever knob, but I'm going to make one. A piece of timber here that I've just put a bolt in, so I'm going to hold that in the lathe. And I've got, where is it? This, which is one off that car upstairs, which is the original shape. That gives me the rough profile, and then obviously if I just double that over the top and just put a nice round on it and just bring it over and back around again, that gives me my basic profile, so I can get reasonable. That looks like it's originally Bakelite or something like that, but I'm just going to make a wooden one, and if whoever wants to change it, well, whatever. And the other thing I'll do is I'll take that piece of all thread out, and I'll open up that hole, and I'll glue a couple of 5/16 fine nuts in there to wind a bolt in. So I just got to find. I've got to head in a bolt, and I've got to organise a couple of nuts to I'll just epoxy them in there with some glue, and that'll be fine in the meantime. Or maybe I could machine. Actually, I can probably machine up something and jam it in there and glue it in. So yeah, I'll probably do that. Just screw on there, and if you find something else you want to put on there, well, he's got something, you can put something else in there, but at least I can make something that's got a gear lever on it, or knob on it. I think that would match in pretty good. That's actually what I made the insides of those doors, that door frame out of, and some other wood. That was just a nice big hunk. I thought that hopefully will turn up okay. We'll find out when I frickin' turn it up. Anyway, so I'll quickly cut a couple of these bolts down for this, and then we'll bugger off and do this.